myself, I'm Ratish Gaurav, currently working with HCL Technologies as a director of Center of Excellence, and I'm also into the entrepreneurship. We have the entrepreneurship journey started along with Mr. Anurag, and we are in the diverse kind of stuffs. Like, I mean, we are doing sports management, we are doing, lectures, we are, you know attending so many seminars, giving lectures, seminars, and also I'm a sports lover. So sports is my what can you say? It's daily routine. IT industry since last 16 years, and especially I've been doing like performance engineering and various kind of innovation in performance engineering area, where I have worked for Fortune 500, Fortune 100 clients as well, like Lowe's, then Barclays, then JP Morgan Chase. So all these clients has been served by me, and then most of the applications has been like optimized performance perspective by me and my team. So that's my short introduction. With the shortage of time, like let me just begin quickly, come to the point and begin with this journey of 45 minutes. We would like to discuss about the entrepreneur skill, attitude, and behavior development. So as I said that this class would be interactive, I would like it to be very interactive. So anytime if you want to speak out, then you can raise your hand option and speak out. So my first question would be like, can anyone tell me that what is entrepreneurship? I would encourage you to speak out and just showcase your primitive knowledge, whatever you have gained it till now, so that we can start building on that knowledge base. So, do you have any idea of entrepreneurship? What do we call entrepreneurship as, or what is entrepreneurship all about? Do you have some basic idea about that one, students? Yes. So let me just brief about like what is entrepreneurship basically all about. It's like entrepreneurship is nothing but it's an ability to develop an organization, run a business enterprise, and you may have heard many a times like bootstrapping, you know, and startups. So all these are part of an entrepreneurship only, right? So what do you mean exactly by the startups or the bootstrap? How many kind of entrepreneurships are there? That is again very important part to discuss it, because the entrepreneurship means even if you're starting up like you're just selling your kacha badam kind of thing stuff, that is also entrepreneurship, right? Or maybe you're starting a shop, retail shop, that is also entrepreneurship, right? So, but the division is there. Like there are kind of entrepreneurship is exist. Like one can be a very small entrepreneurship, even if you are a painter or you're a plumber, or you're just washing the cars. That is also a kind of entrepreneurship where you have uh, you try to solve some problems. You try to organize certain things and run a business, right? The business is like where you serve customers and you get the money out of it, right? You make a profit for your living, you make a profit to grow, scale up the businesses. There are a lot of aspects of the entrepreneurship also comes into picture. So let me take you to the journey, like what do you think that an entrepreneur is? Do you have an idea that what is an entrepreneur is? What an entrepreneur is? Okay, so if you speak up more and share your ideas, share your views, then possibly we are going to be more connected, and we are going to share our knowledge base more. Because if it is like one way of speaking, then I can deliver whatever I have the knowledge, and I may not be able to know that where you have gained that knowledge or attended those sort of things. So if it is like a two-way process, that would be very nice. So anyone, what an entrepreneurship or what an entrepreneur is? Like let's suppose I ask you a question in a different way, that let's suppose you want to start up a shop, a retail shop, a grocery shop, right? In COVID days, you might have seen like the grocery shops are, you know, are growing like anything, right? So there must have been some thought behind that when starting up a grocery shop. So let's suppose you are going to start up a grocery shop. So you will be called as an entrepreneur, right? So what you think about yourself while starting up the grocery shop? How do you feel?
No, I guess entrepreneur is someone who does creative and noble thing. It's not that grocery. There are a number of grocery shop. If I'm going to open a grocery shop, that's just for the purpose of earning and taking advantage of situation. But I cannot be categorized as entrepreneurship. If I'm doing something out of the box, then I think that I'm entrepreneur.
Right. So see, the entrepreneurs are of different sort. Like the one entrepreneur is just for, do entrepreneurship for the livings, right? The one entrepreneurship is like small scale entrepreneurship, which is scaling up their businesses, the startups, right? They are scaling up the businesses. The one is the large entrepreneur. So the large entrepreneur means they have already got the businesses and then they wanted to diversify their business or start up the new innovation to solve the problems of the society. Basically, the entrepreneurs are the one who are going to solve the problems of the society. Let me take an example that will give you a quick idea about that one. So let's assume that you have got a very high pollution level in Delhi and around in Delhi NCR. So the problem is that you have got a high pollution level, which consists of PM10 and PM2.5 suspended particle matters, right? And you need to give a solution which can give you uh, eradication of PM10 and PM2.5 particles from your home inside, right? Now you're going to solve a problem. Now, while you're solving a problem, you are envisioning that what kind of innovation you are trying to do it to solve this problem, right? So as an entrepreneur, your journey will start like thinking that what is the problem, what is the solution we are going to make out of it, and how we are going to implement that solution and how we can scale it up, right? So there are different journeys or entrepreneur will have. The journey would start from trying to think about any problem which your society or which your household or which you might be facing in the day-to-day life. Then you're trying to solve that problem. Once you encounter, you have seen that problem is generalized, you try to solve that problem. Now, when you try to solve the problem, you have to innovate. You have to bring a fresh idea. Either you have to develop a new product or you have to develop a new services. While developing new product or services, you are innovating, you're trying to bring the solution which is unique or which is tweaked. If it is not unique, it can be tweaked from the earlier solutions to give the right kind of solution to that particular problem, or maybe a bit more innovative solution to that particular problem. So your entrepreneurship journey starts from there. But entrepreneurship are of many kind, as I told you. But sometimes the entrepreneurship takes you to bootstrap. Now, when you bootstrap it, you don't have a much of finances available to you, right? You start from scratch. You may have got a credit cards from which you want to raise a loan, or you may ask your friends to, you know, do a seed funding, or maybe you can go to some institutions to have the seed funding, right? But during this process of, having the seed funding, developing your enterprise or developing your a business, you need to have certain skill. You need to have certain skill already existing, or if not existing, you need to develop it. So what do you think that the most important aspect of an entrepreneur? I hope I'm getting clear. So what is the most important part of an entrepreneur? Can anybody tell me? What do you think that what is the most important part of an entrepreneur is? Is it that entrepreneur should value time, entrepreneur should value money, or entrepreneur should, try to solve the problem? Yeah, please, Radhika.
Sir, I think a person becomes an entrepreneur when a person has an objective in life, what a person has to do. So when he or she is on their objective, on their optimistic attitude that they're carrying towards it. So I guess the main thing is this only. And time management and these things are followed after it.
Yes, correct. You are correct that there has to be an objective. So the objective, do you think that the objective comes before the problems or after you encounter any problem?
Sir, I think problems come in between. Like before you start, you have an idea. When you have an idea, then you make an objective. Then after that, when you start it, problems come, but to overcome them, you have your skills, you have your mindset, and by that you can overcome them.
Correct, correct. So the first thing that you should have in a problem, then you define your objective to solve that problem. Okay. Or you don't have an objective as such. Unless you don't have a problem, you don't have an objective as such, right? So for ideating, you need to have a problem in hand first. So for any entrepreneurship or any entrepreneur, you might have seen their first encounter with that problem. The problem is generalized, then they start their entrepreneur journey, then they try to be objective in the mind, like let's say there was an objective of cafe coffee day. Recently we are doing a study on that one, so we all know that what was the objective. A lot can happen over coffee, over a cup of coffee, right? So that objective only comes when they see in the problem that there is no coffee shop and people are coffee lovers, there is no proper coffee shop or proper coffee place where they can enjoy the ambience, where can they can enjoy their coffee, where they can enjoy the customer experience, right? So the objective is defined once the problem is there, and once the problem is there, objective is defined, right? You try to innovate the things, either innovate in terms of product or innovate in terms of services. Now, my question is again, then why you want to, let's suppose you want to solve a problem, right? So what skill is the most important skill to solve that problem? Is it arranging finance? Is it doing a POC, a proof of concept, right? Is it um, is it arranging the resources? What is the most important skill that you will find in yourself to solve that problem?
Sir, when you are an entrepreneur, when you start, as I said, you have to start with an objective. So you need to also start with an objective of team building. So the main important thing, of course, it is the product that you have to produce, or with the mindset. Like for example, if we take an example of any organic product that I have to produce in the market, I have an objective why I want to produce it. So with that consent in mind, I also need to keep in mind the team building process. If I will have the team building process, so in that ways, everything doing will be important, and the product also the main part will be important. But it's reach towards the like the buyer, then the person who wants it, that is also important. So
Mhm.
overall whole cycle is important.
Yeah, whole cycle is important. But most important thing, as you have mentioned it, like is a team building, and that's a very correct approach. Because see, if you have an idea, right, you have an idea, you can develop your prototype by yourself, right, and you can go to or someone you need to approach it to for the seed funding to to have the funds to develop your prototype, right? That's absolutely fine. You can do it all alone, but in the long run, you would require a team to be built up. Not only the prototyping is important, and maybe you have to have one more or two more person or co-founders, to develop the prototype and go for the next round of fundings, right? So developing your entrepreneurship or developing your entrepreneur journey, you require to build a team. It's very correct answer, Radhika, and that's I think that can only come when you have got vision of entrepreneurship, or you might have tried, or you may have seen someone has tried it, because the team building is the most important thing. You have to build the right team, and right people need to be placed at the right people need to be placed at the right positions, so that they can, start building the ecosystem where you can execute. So let's suppose, even if I I I I I open up a retail shop. Let's suppose it's not a bad thing to open up a retail shop as an entrepreneur, because that is also in categorized. And let me tell you, I may be cutting across, but see, this is a kind of entrepreneurship is also there. Like, there are many entrepreneurs who has opened up a retail shop, and then they expanded it in the retail chain. So what they initially do, they have all the products in mind that what we are going to sell it, but essentially they build up a team. They need to have a team on which they can rely on, a team which is working round the clock with him or her, you know, to get the things done. Because initially you have to have that kind of capability, or that kind of a kind of a process development that a team is required to build up, right? You can't think of, doing all alone. If you have got a right team, you can, your job is like almost 50% done. You can start up, right? Now, the second most important thing, while your entrepreneur journey has started it, let's suppose. So the second most important thing, what exactly do you require once you know that you have an idea, once you know that you have to develop a proof of concept, what is the next most important thing you should do as an entrepreneur? Any answer? Yes, Radhika?
Sir, the next most important thing is, now if I have framed everything, after that framing, that hard work towards the framing has been done. Now how the flow of idea is happening, like
Mhm,
how
mhm.
I'm working, that has to be the most important objective in life, because now we have achieved what we really want to work on. So not basically achieved, but now our idea should be how much reach that we want, or how much better we want to become, or to check the flow of commodity, or not just the flow of commodity, even the flow of idea that I had, is it going that by that way or no, is like what I approach towards the idea. So that should be the most important approach. Like, even I used to sell 20 products by back before then, how many products now I want to sell to reach it out in the public.
Okay. Yeah. So approach you want to develop it, absolutely correct. You want to develop the approach. You have developed the approach. Okay. So now the next step. So you already had developed your prototype, or you are developing your approach to develop the prototype?
So this question is for me or for everyone?
Yeah, Radhika, you answered the question. So it's in continuation that I have asked, like, and it's for everyone, in fact, that once you develop your approach, you wanted to develop the approach before you develop the prototype, or you wanted to develop the approach for the prototype, development of the prototype. Uh, can I have the clarity on that answer? That you wanted to develop an approach for developing prototype.
So actually, prototype, basically, if we see like the designing and everything and other forms that we see. So first, like many entrepreneurs, even I have seen, not right now I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm into field which is very different from what entrepreneurs do. But in content to that, when we see entrepreneurs, they have an approach in life. They don't like that, they don't design it first sometimes, basically we see. Or for example, there are many people who design it first. They have the prototype, they have the thing in mind, like how it will happen, but how they want to do it, they make it after. But there are people also who have how they want to do, but like the product designing and everything, the prototype, as we are discussing, they discuss it after. So it depends basically, but mostly if we see, if you ask my approach on that, I will have an objective, then I have the prototype, And overall, when I have a proper idea, if I'll say in one word, I have an idea, then the idea approach towards the idea, that way the flow will go. So this will be my point in that.
Okay. So yeah, so the skill set, yeah, the flow would be almost similar to what you are explaining, but the skills you want to develop, right? So skills you want to possess or a skill you want to develop, right? Uh, for being an entrepreneur. So that becomes a very important. So skill of, building up a team, that's a really correct answer. The skill of, developing the approach, the skill of developing the prototype. Now what other skills should be there? You're absolutely correct. The skill of developing first your team, skill of developing your approach, skill of developing your prototype. Now what?
So I guess now you and me are communicating well. That's why you are able to understand me and I'm able to understand you. So the communication skill part is important. If I won't be able to communicate my product well to the society, then how I'll sell that?
Yes, of course. But before that, like you have developed your skill set of you have developed your prototype, right? The communication is a base for all these three phases, like, right? From building up a team to building up your approach to building up your prototype. So communication is the base. Absolutely correct. The communication has to be base. Because if the things is not rightly communicated in the beginning itself, you may not be able to build your right team. If you're not communicating it properly with your team, you may not be coming up with the right approach. Then the prototype also. The communication is very important to develop your prototype also, because you need to communicate the right things, or you need to be communicated the right things, right? Or maybe you are communicating with the media, or maybe you are communicating with your mentor, or maybe you are communicating getting with your seed funders, so who are just giving you a right to develop something out there, right? So the communication is the base. What else next? So I would like others to also participate it. Like it will be really good if you participate. There would be a lot of points which will come on, and you will find it very interesting. Otherwise, it'll go like one way. So communication is the one thing which has been the base of all three skills. What other skills? Because see, entrepreneurship cannot be developed just by having like a call, but at least you should have idea that how to approach that for the entrepreneurship, like how to approach to become an entrepreneur, right? What could be the approach to become an entrepreneur? I may be an entrepreneur in my own sense. I have developed it, but you see, what are the important points? What are the skills, important skills which I have learned it? So the next skill would be, Radhika, if you want to answer, or if anyone you want to answer, that what next important skill would be, then that is absolutely fine. Otherwise, I can tell you that the next
If
skill would
any,
be, yeah, please.
so if anybody else is not answering, then I would love to share it with you.
Please go ahead.
So according to me, I think team building, communication skills. Then after that, your leadership skills are important. If you are a good leader towards your team, that will affect most of it, like how you are sharing with them. And under that, these points will also come. So one
Yeah, yeah.
can be this or other. You have better.
Yeah, leadership skill
Love to
is
hear you.
is very much required, because once you have taken the initiative of developing a enterprise, developing a business of any scale. So the leadership comes into the picture at that moment itself, because you have to lead it, right? Lead in the entire thought process and the entire prototyping, entire team building exercise. So that is a part. Like everything comes under that umbrella. But before that one, we also need to develop our skill to do two things. Prototyping has been done, and you rightly said that we have to communicate it to the end consumers that this is what we have. So communicating to the end consumers, to understanding their needs, and to reaching out to them, would require a marketing effort, right? So you have to market your product. And also before that one, you need to raise money. So raising the finances, how to convince the financer, right? Or the lenders, right? Or anyone, even if your father is trying to invest something in your father or mother, you're trying to invest something into you, be it your friend, be it your family, be it the banks. How on earth you are going to communicate your ideas or your innovative ideas approach to solve a particular problem to them to raise the finances? That again becomes a very important skill, because unless you don't raise the finances in any terms, like in terms of debt, in terms of capital investment, right? In terms of whatever way, like equity, you can raise the equity, right? The equity can be um, any shareholders equity, or maybe someone has just put their money um, as a capital investor, right? So that is also fine. Or you can raise the debt from the banks, or you can raise the debt from, in fact, investors as well. So they can also give you the debts. So raising the debt, raising the equity, raising the finances, raising the capital, again, a very important skill, because that is your base. Apart from your communication, that is a base to run your business, so that you can reach it to the end consumer. You may not be able to reach to the end consumer unless you don't advertise yourself, don't market yourself, or don't market your product, guys. So you have to have that kind of nick, or you have to have that kind of skill to raise finances. That is again a very important aspect. Now, to reach to the market, to reach to the end consumer, to convince them buy your product, this is innovative product, you need to have certain skill, right? To showcase it to them, to have the demonstration for that one before selling the product. You have to have certain skill set in current digital arena, like this the complete era is a digital era, right? So you need to know how to use a digital space for market your products. You need to know that how to use the different social media platforms to market your products. So at least you need to be aware of the facts that how you are going to use the social media platforms. And for doing so, you have many more aspects where you can market yourself, or where you can advertise yourself, your products, where you can showcase it, you can demonstrate it, you can even record a simple video, demonstrate it, go to Instagram, create your profile, demonstrate it there, you can sell it there. You have got a lot of other platforms, market spaces, marketplaces, where you can sell your products, where you can advertise yourself. So there are many ways to do that one, but that is one of the skills you need to possess, the sales skill, marketing skills, that should come into picture. Okay, now um, to continue with those things, why it is very important to become an entrepreneur. You may become an entrepreneur, but why it is very important to become an entrepreneur? Why can't we you sit on the chairs for the cozy job, and you are earning a handsome salary and then go home? Why it's very important to become an entrepreneur? Why our government is focusing too much on entrepreneur journey? Why the government is trying to create so many unicorns or so many startups? Why this ecosystem is developing? Why they want to develop this ecosystem? Can anybody answer that question?
So I think Atmanirbhar Bharat is the most important thing that you can see now in the world. Uh, our Prime Minister bringing that in
Mhm.
people in our country for the world, like to let us know that how we can also develop individually. So the main objective that we can develop individually as well, which is the most important thing. Everyone has individual life, but in that life, how you grow, how you want to grow is important. And I guess entrepreneurship can give you one, and also not having an approach towards the society also is that contributing to the society. Most importantly, to your country, to your nation, where you live, your
Mhm.
where your heart and soul is attached. Are you doing something for that? So Atmanirbhar Bharat is the, you can say, a conceptual point in that. But apart from that, your individual growth.
Correct. You are absolutely correct. Like our leader has got a vision, to create an Atmanirbhar Bharat sort of thing. But it's very important to see from the economic perspective, right? So economically, we are still not that good in context or in comparison to other nations, which has grown multifold, right? And we have got a chance. We have got a youth. We have got the bright minds which can, grow into that space. So let's suppose if you want to work, right? The era was of IT era, and a lot of IT companies has grown up, and they have started it up. Like they were startups, and they have grown up to become a unicorn, right? HCL also started it up in a Barsati, and then just grown up from 2 employees to 2 lakhs employees, right? But the idea is, if you want to grow as an employee or you want to grow as an entrepreneur. So the difference is, as an employee, you can get a job easily, right? That still has a struggle, but you can get a job and you can be cozy for next 20, 25 years. That's it. You can run your family. Entrepreneurship is very much required to create jobs, right? To create an ecosystem where you have got your own innovation to solve the problems of that nation. I may have to solve a problem where I don't have a proper toys for my kids. What do I do? Well, I have only one option. Either the imported toys from China, I can just go and bring it. The low cost or low quality stuffs, I can bring it. I can save money. I have got a advantage there. My opportunity cost is quite low, right? But that is not going to solve a problem. It's still being a consumer. You're not a producer. You are still being a consumer. You're consuming it, and you have got a capability to produce it at the lower cost, but you are not doing it because you don't have an entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship is also to transform the livings of this country. Entrepreneurship is also to transform the scenario where you can create more jobs. Entrepreneurship is there to not only you know create job not only to transform something, to have the innovations, also to create jobs. More and more jobs would be created, and you can benefit entire nation. So this is the entrepreneurship all about. The importance of entrepreneurship, you also you have also discussed it. We have also discussed it. And the benefits of the entrepreneurship is to create jobs, to create our own ecosystem, to develop the innovations. Many of times you might have seen like why India was lacking in the technology area. Now, a very good solution has been provided, the chip manufacturing, which was usually done in China and Taiwan and Japan. Some part of Japan also, they will manufacture the chips, and they have outsourced it to China and Taiwan later on. But the problem is, when the chip manufacturing issue or the chip supply issue has come up, grown up in recent days, and the car manufacturers has got issues, then the entrepreneurship of India comes into the picture. The Tatas has tried to invest like 400 crores um, nearby in Bangalore, which is already known as an electronic city, to develop the chip. Right? We have got a base material to develop the chip. We don't have a technology to develop the chips. That's what we don't have a technology to fabricate it. Right? High-end chips, not the low-end chips. they are already available for, TV and all other sort of things. But the high-end chips has to be developed for the car, and the programming has to be. Then we have got a software solutions, but we don't have a hardware solutions where we can manufacture the chip, which requires D2O. The ecosystem has been developed. We are not even developing our idols, right? The idols which has been worshipped in the houses, that is also coming from China. So that is a drain, actually. That is a drain which has happened. So which need to be stopped by the entrepreneurship. And that is what the program is all about. To think from the entrepreneur perspective, just to think like we cannot develop the entrepreneur, but we start, infusing some thought process in you to, think from that perspective. What is important? What it takes to become an entrepreneur? Like I started my journey as an entrepreneur. We have started just, I started like two firms. I started like one firm way back, like 8 years back, right? It was basically a Edtech firm, and we were catering to the specialized learning, right? Specialized learning to the students who are weaker in mathematics, to students who are weaker in science, and they lack the scientific temperament or mathematical skills, right? We were developing it, and our 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 project was very successful in Ahmedabad and nearby area. Either is one of the areas in Gujarat, right? We have successfully implemented our ideas there, right? So that we were trying to solve the problem, and we was based out in Gandhinagar, Gujarat, which is capital city of Gujarat. So we tried to solve that problem, and we successfully ran it. We have solved lot many problems, right? Because the scientific attitude and the mathematical skill set or capabilities need to be developed. So we thought of that problem is there. We thought of that innovation, that how we are going to tackle it. So we need to develop the teaching methods. We need to develop the methods and processes to tackle that problem. And we were specialized in that one, right? So I did that entrepreneurship for 2.5 years. That was quite a success. And recently I have started it up. I just handed it over that my company um, to one of the again the entrepreneur there. We have dissolved, in fact. So I have started another entrepreneur journey. So what was the most important aspect when I started the next entrepreneur journey? What we have thought of? We have thought of solving a problem, because we were getting like these kind of problems, right? So we wanted to solve it, but how on the earth we are going to solve it? We try to consult someone. We try to see on Google that what could be the possible solutions are there, what are the existing solutions are there, what innovations we are going to bring it on, what extra things we are going to do it, or what special thing we are going to do it in the ecosystem or in the environment in which we are existing. The solutions, often what happen when we begin our entrepreneur journey, we try to copy the solutions from West, or we try to copy the solutions from already existing manufacturers. So what happens when we try to copy the solutions of others? We also try their problem. We also copy their problems. So the solution comes first, and the problems start coming later on. So you have to build up an ecosystem of your own. You have to develop the solution which is suited to the environment of yours. You have to think from that perspective. We cannot develop a solution which is very suited in Denmark and which cannot be suited here. They have got a different environment. They have got a different, altogether different system developed there. So how can we fit that system into our system? Not even the education system. I'll tell you that education system, Edtech, is the current hottest topic. The second hottest topic after Bitcoins, right? That it's the second hottest topic after Bitcoins. If you are working in cryptocurrency and you open up any, let's say, a firm, you're good in coding, or you have hired some coders, started working in that area, cryptocurrency area, you'll be funded very easily. If your idea is good, anyone can fund you. The same thing is happening with the edtech. If the idea is good, anyone can fund you. So that's pretty simple. So edtech is the current hot topic. You need to see where the problems are lying more. You need to see that the edtech is growing in India under what conditions. The earlier edtech was more or less to reach to the school, um, the computer based systems need to reach to the school, to the students in the classroom, so that their learning objectives are fulfilled, or their learning can be enhanced, or teaching learning process can be enhanced. But in current scenario, that has completely changed because there was no there was no school. There was no school premises. There was no school building for 2 years, right? The kids started going to the school since last 2 or 3 months. Not 2 3 months, 4 or 5 months. In fact, in between there was again a disruption. So I mean, you have to ideate, you have to see the problems, and the solutions has come up like in many ways. People are using technology to teach, technology to learn, right? Technology to interact. The human interaction is has been changed, um, um, and has been like way ahead than it was 2 years back. Now we can interact one to one on any platform, be it like online, be it offline, and that too with the same set of elan which were done earlier. So now it may be surprising to you, but the technology firms are also moving towards because of the technology, because of the environmental change, because of the causal effect of the COVID, they're trying to bring more and more resources online only. Or offline working mode would be gradually decreased. So the ecosystem has to be built. India was the innovator, right? Who has worked in this? Indian IT companies has worked it out the solution, and they have given the solution to run the business. Earlier, they were using it for BCP, that a business continuity program, but now the business continuity program cannot run for like larger than 7 days or 8 days, or let's say 1 month max to max, because of the flood situation, because of any other disruptions. But you see, the people have worked literally for 2 years continuous on this. So this becomes the BCP, business continuity program, becomes a day-to-day life, day in life process, right? So I don't have anything here to put you as an exercise, because my idea was to interact with you, to quiz you on this platform, to understand your perspective more, to understand like what you think about it. But I'm happy that I got some of the responses, and that's very good. And gradually, when we will move up, we'll think more ways to engage you in terms of the topics we are going to cover it. There would be more ways to engage you, and the interaction is most important. Like as Radhika has said, that the communication is the most important aspect. You need to communicate whatever way. You may not be knowing the very good English anyway, because it doesn't should not be like only one criteria. There should be more or less to develop the other skills. Communication skill can be the base. You need to interact. You need to interact. You need to open up yourself. The more you open up yourself, the more you try to communicate with others, the more you are developing your communication skill. The communication skill is not a static process, it's a dynamic process, and it has to happen over a period of time. You grow as you communicate. You grow as you communicate. You communicate more, you grow more. That's how it has to be. So from this point, I'd like to thank all of you to listen me patiently. The same words I'm repeating what Anurag has said, but he might have got a more communicative process with you because you all know him. I may be new to you. So it'll take some time to develop that relationship. So by these words, I'll call off the day. And thank you so much for joining and listening me patiently.
Thank you so much, Ratishji. It was pleasure hearing you on this platform. You share lots of experience, and I'm sure that today's deliberation of yours is going to raise the students' interest and motivate them towards this entrepreneurship and innovation. And I'm so thankful to you that you came up with very short notice. And it was indeed no. I'm sure the student might have learned a lot, and I hope to hear from you in some more session, which we will plan soon. And thank you so much. Indeed, it was. I mean, I am so lucky to know you now, thanks to Anurag. And I'm sure that today's celebration we are going to cherish it, and the students will be learning a lot. Hope to see you soon on some other platform, sir. Thank you so
Thank
much.
thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, students, for being such a patient listener. Thank you, Dr. Ajay Kumar, Director TIS, for sparing your time and just giving us the required motivation. Thank you so much.